treat me like the daddy warbucks that I deserve to be treated as.
Hello, and welcome to episode 166 of Rhythm Encounter, the RPG fan music podcast. I am your host, Mike Salbato, and today we are talking about one of my favorite games. In fact, it's my favorite Final Fantasy game. And if you've ever listened to this show, you already know what it is. But before we get into the topic and everything else, I have to introduce my wonderful panel today, starting with Matt.
May the light of the crystal ever shine on you.
Oh no! Oh, you're setting a precedent. Okay. Also with us today is Mario. It's been a while, but we're happy to have you back.
Hello. Oh god, I don't know if I have an FF14 quote off the top, but hello.
And Wes.
Hi, everybody. You hear that sound? That's the light party sound that we just triggered.
Oh no, you're gonna make me find that sound effect and put it in.
That was kind of the idea, yeah.
Okay, all right, I'll see what I can do.
I'm giving you homework already.
1 minute and not even 20 seconds in, and you're like, by the way, you have to do something extra for this. Okay, all right.
I'll make you work for the money.
Yeah.
Just swear as much as you can in this episode so that he has to bleep it all out.
Just all of it.
Oh,
I promise the money is on the way. Just you wait.
Okay. So you're sending me money for this? That's great.
Yeah, I'm bankrolling this whole thing. Checks in the mail.
Okay. I mean, like an actual check, like for actual money that I can cash.
So far as you're concerned, right now, yes. Let's continue this logic through the rest of the episode.
Oh boy!
Treat me like the daddy warbucks that I deserve to be treated as.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here. This is something I always like about certain like retro encounter episodes, when people can come on with different experiences of the game. You know, like Matt, like when we did our Breath of Fire 2 episode a couple months ago. You know, you hadn't played it, Zach and I had played it, and it really made for good conversation. And that's the same thing here, where all of us are at slightly different parts of 14 and have different experiences. So I'm looking forward to how this discussion plays out.
I'm happy to play the dum-dum on every episode.
You're not the dum-dum. You played more of this than I thought you had, but yeah.
But it's been a long time. Like it's completely left my memory. Although like replaying it recently for this episode, I'm like, oh yeah, like Ul'dah and like all these, city names. I'm like, oh, I remember that. But yeah, it's a fun blast from the past.
I'm very fascinated at your choices because I don't think you've experienced them in game yet. So this will be cool.
Nuh-uh.
Before we get into that, we got to do our usual what we've been listening to recently. So who would like to go first? What have you been listening to? I'm going to call on you. Okay.
If I can find the unmute button.
Oh.
I'll jump in. So as per the last episode I was on, the K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack continues to be a loop whenever the kids are around. That is a whole vibe. Not just the kids, but the fiance as well. Has submitted to the Saja boys. When I'm on my own, though, I'm in a big anime mode lately. So a lot of anime openings and bands that have done anime openings. Gundam openings are always fantastic, and they've been hitting real hard, especially Witch from Mercury. Highly recommended. Finally finished it years after I should have, but amazing listening throughout.
Some like bump of chicken and like stuff like that, or like Larkin Seal.
Oh, there's always bump of chicken up in there. Yeah, Karma's been on my playlist for roughly, how many years has it been?
Nice.
I know what you want to say, Matt, but I'm going to have Mario go next because he's not been on the show in a longer time.
Sure.
Oh, thank you. Very topical for this episode, actually, but I mean, 14's been a lot of what I've been listening to recently. Mostly Shadowbringers and Endwalker. Those are kind of the soundtracks I've been tuning into a lot recently. They're basically like my work playlist. So I'll be listening to them every day. yeah, Shadowbringers has so many good area themes. Oh god, and it's always fun just going back to sort of relive memories and all that through the soundtrack. So that's kind of what I've been on recently.
Oh, fantastic. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, like I told everyone before the record, today's my wife's birthday, so last night we went to a concert, so I've just been listening to Happy Birthday on repeat. But we went to a concert for the American composer Evan Call, who does like a bunch of recent anime series in Japan. So you might know him from like Friden, like the white-haired elf girl. Like that's a fantastic, very Final Fantasy 14 coded series. I recommend everyone check out. And Violet Evergarden and some more recent like Pokemon and Gundam stuff. So Evan Call, he's really a talented guy. But yeah, that was a great concert.
Second Gundam mention of the episode already. Let's go for more.
Still early.
I got a lot of time to stick giant robots in here.
There's not a shortage of giant robots in 14.
I mean, 14 can kind of vibe with that.
Yeah.
One of the songs I was thinking of bringing would have also played in here.
Oh, nice. I feel like most of what I've been listening to lately, since we recorded our last episode not that long ago, so I don't have a hugely different answer, but it has been the Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar soundtrack, because I've been playing that a fair amount. It's really good. I'm very impressed with it, and all the music is what you would want it to be in a game like that, like very, very cozy, relaxing, hometown, comforting vibes. So really good.
That's been a thing here lately too, is like lo-fi relaxing stuff, even when we're not, playing the games, watching the things that it come from. It's really nice to have just kind of a low chill rumble going throughout the day.
Yeah.
I mean, me too. Like, I love a good relaxed soundtrack, but sometimes, like, I'm listening to something like, Final Fantasy X soundtrack, where it's like, like, beautiful Titus's theme, like, nice guitar, and then suddenly it's like, ba 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 ba, and it just completely like kicks into a battle theme, and it's like, like I like a good consistent tone, I think there's a good balance that we have today, though.
Yeah. So, sometimes I talk about like, what brought you into this episode or this series or the game or the composer, whatever it is. So I think the way to frame that today is, where are each of you, like, in 14, in your 14 journey? Mario, I think you're probably the most caught up here, besides me.
I might not be. I'm on 7.3. The MSQ, I haven't finished it yet, though.
Okay.
So I'm not completely caught up, but I'm on the recent patch, so.
Yeah, so you're working on the thing that came out a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty recent, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then I'm like kind of identify as a Sprout still. I like just started the game. Well, I guess it's been like 2 years now at this point. Oh, so maybe time flies, but yeah, I'm like a more recent hop on to 14.
Mario, if you started at 2.0 and you're all the way up to 7.3, you are not a Sprout anymore and have not been for quite a while.
Powerfully not a Sprout.
Yeah.
You've grown through sheer effort.
Yeah. How about you, Wes?
So I started playing when Realm Reborn came out and have been relatively consistent ever since, but I fell off after finishing everything up until Dawntrail. If I re-up my subscription and fired it up today, I could jump right in, and I probably will be in the next month, or possibly 24 hours by the time this episode is done. The itch is already coming. I can feel it. I'm just waiting for it to wash over me.
I'm guessing this episode is not gonna. Well, it is going to help.
This is going to help that along very well. Yes.
Yeah.
Picking songs already has.
All right, and Matt.
Yeah, like looking back, I'm surprised at how long ago I played FF14. Like I think I started playing it like 6 years ago, or it was before COVID, I believe. But I used it as like just an excuse to hang out with my friends. So I feel like I missed a lot of the story and the music and like the things that people constantly praise about it. I got pretty far into it, but I just absorbed it as like just goofing off with my friends and like, calling on the phone. But I do really enjoy it. I'm not a big MMO guy, never have been, but I love the concept of an MMO, but I'm never willing to commit to one game for like a huge amount of time. But yeah, I the last time I played, I was a Rogadin tank named Tauntaun Lorondon, and I had this big like
Oh my god.
like biker quaff kind of thing. Yeah, and I love playing the tank, but so just a few days ago, I started a brand new character, a Hrothgar named Scuff Clawhauser. I'm going with another tank character, but I started playing it and I was really excited to get back into it, and then they hit me with an emergency patch, so I'm still in Ul'dah level 2. But I'm looking forward to jumping back in.
Your naming is on point, just for the
Your
record.
names are fantastic, yeah.
Thank you. Can I share my old WoW name? I used to play a Night Elf Ranger named Shart Bimpson, was my name for many years.
Oh my god.
But
I'm sorry, my son is also named Shart.
it's really caught on in the last decade or so, Shart. But
It's so funny. Like I could not. Like I think your 14 names are good. Like they're clever and they're funny. But like a fully joke name, I could never do. I see people in the game like that all the time, and I'm just like, and I see them. And most of the time, when I see people with a bizarre name like that, where I'm like, well, I could never. Like it's so easy to be like, well, that person doesn't take the game seriously. But then they have weapons from like the ultimate raids, and I'm like, oh, they're way better than I am. So it's pretty funny. Well, I am caught up in terms of story, at least, as to where the game is. So I finished 7.3. It is very good. I won't say anything else, especially to you, Mario, who's like right there.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm actually in the camp where I enjoy Dawntrail because I know it's not going to be Endwalker and doesn't need to be and shouldn't be the same weightiness. I thought it was fun.
You can't escalate all the time. There's eventually nowhere more to go.
Right. So like I enjoyed it enough, but I think, I understand where some of that comes from. And I think like the 7.0 was fine where it went, but I think they really, in the patches, like it's really gone somewhere really cool.
And that's what's going to speak to me.
Yeah.
Starting again.
I'm also in that camp, Mike, where I actually really enjoy Dawntrail. I feel like it can be its own thing. It doesn't really have to be. I think it's one of its biggest crimes is that it follows up Endwalker, so it's just one of those things where like, but I digress.
Right. But I mean, something had to, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it can do its own thing and be an enjoyable expansion still.
Yeah. What I need to catch up on are like the raids. So I'm caught up on story, but not all of the content yet.
Oh, the raids are so good. Yeah, they've been great.
It's hard when like they set the stakes so high to like follow up on that. Like in any franchise, like it's like after the Avengers movie, it's like, what? I guess we just do Avengers movies forever. Like it's hard to dial it back, but I do appreciate that in any franchise.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into some of this music today. It's interesting that we all pick stuff from 4 expansions, which I guess is fair. We've covered A Realm Reborn and Heavensward a lot in the show, so like the more recent expansions have appeared much less often. So I'm excited about our lineup. You want to get us started, Wes? What's our first song today?
So I decided to start us out with a song so beloved it's basically a meme at this point, with A Long Fall from Shadowbringers by, as most of these will be, Masayoshi Soken.
Fantastic. This is so good. Mario, what's your first one?
And my first pick, also by Soken, In the Belly of the Beast, also from Shadowbringers. My bias will come out, but Shadowbringers is my favorite expansion, so that's, I will geek out about this, but we can get to that in a bit.
Yeah. All right. It's time for A Long Fall and In the Belly of the Beast.
Wes, would you like a transition into long fall? Like maybe one of us can make a falling sound, like ah.
Perfect. A long fall is basically a meme song, but one that frickin' goes. The number of dance videos and repeated jokes about how this is one of the hardest songs in all of Final Fantasy are pretty well earned. Long Fall is the song that plays during the dungeon, the twinning, and it makes it feel like you should be like kicking butt the entire time. Like everything goes harder than like even normal boss fight music does not hit as hard as just entering this damn dungeon. But it's a lot more complex than that, because this thing is one of the most like thematically complex songs, lyrically referenced songs in there. It's got elements from the Crystal Tower, from some Dissidia music, from like 4 other songs throughout FF14, not to mention the Prelude. There's some FF4 in there. It is densely packed with lyrical themes or musical themes that you wouldn't think sync up really well, but this is just such a propulsive song, and I feel like there's some amount that this helps you understand kind of the mentality of the Final Fantasy XIV soundtrack, where it does really push you to be a lot more propulsive, a lot more like action-oriented. There are guitars where maybe Final Fantasy wouldn't always have guitars sitting. The lyrics that are kind of like there, but not really meant to be scrutinized or necessarily understood. More the voice used as a musical instrument is a big thing that you hear in a lot of FF14 music, though not all of it. The whole thing just feels so damn energizing and really, really pushes you through a dungeon in a game where dungeons can sometimes feel rough to get through. Mechanically, they tend to be very complex, but they also feel very chaotic, and I feel like this grants that chaos kind of an audible form. It's an absolutely beloved song. It rocks freaking hard. The guitars are very welcome, and I don't know. I haven't talked to many people who don't absolutely adore A Long Fall, so I felt like it needed to get its time in the sun on this episode.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, between like the crunchy guitars and like that, the tone of the drum snare, I really like. It felt to me like a 3D Sonic track. Like I could imagine like just blasting through a level as Sonic. But yeah, the distorted vocals
absolutely
and
right.
everything.
As in like Sonic Adventure kind of 3D, not like literally Sonic 3D Blast, right?
Oh god, I would never touch that game with a.
I would play Sonic 3D Blast to this music just for the experience.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, and then like it still has like the Final Fantasy elements, so like the hints of the harp and everything like that, and like the kind of like PS1 style synth that's in there, like in the middle. Yeah, I like what you said, Wes. Like it's really propulsive. Great track.
It even hits the prelude at some point, so it feels densely Final Fantasy despite being instrumentally so wild.
Yeah.
Right. I picked up on most of the things you mentioned too. I missed the FF4 part, so I got to go back and listen again then, which is really embarrassing for me.
They're FF14 tracks that pull motifs from FF4, so it's not a direct reference in this case.
Oh, I see. No, I love this one. I've heard the song far more times than I've done the dungeon. It's one of those weird things where like when Shadowbringers came out, like it was just a weird busy time for me, so I'm like there's certain things like a lot of the later dungeons in Shadowbringers where I've only done them once and like never again in like 6 years, and this is sadly one of the ones. I think I've only done this dungeon once or twice, but I've listened to the song a whole lot. But it's such a great arrangement and medley of themes, like you said, Wes. I love the Crystal Tower, the Final Fantasy III notes in there. It's just so energizing. And someone here, one of us at least, has to talk about chicken tenders, right? I mean, if we're going to talk about this song and the lyrics,
I mean, I guess someone had to go there, right?
I have to bring it up. It unfortunately, if you haven't seen that, then I'm happy for you. But I only needed to see that video one time. I mean, I've seen it a lot more. But like, it is permanently in my head now. This one, the Ultima theme, and whatever other ones there are, like I can't not hear those words now. But thankfully, it doesn't take away my enjoyment of the song. It's
Oh
just
my
so
god.
good, so good. And yeah, like you said earlier, Wes, about how you're gonna like, I'm gonna go back and play the game again. Like, I'm still actively playing, but like, there's some things that we're talking about here today, and this is the first one that I'm like, I need to go on and literally do this specific thing because it's been too long. So thank you for the reminder.
I am intrigued by the chicken tenders. I have not heard, but
Oh boy.
I think, yeah. Oh god. Oh god. Yeah, I need to.
Ready,
I'm intrigued. I'm a little afraid, but intrigued. But yeah, no, this song's a banger. It's like become a meme for a reason. It's just, yeah, I love musically how it's balancing so many different medleys, and how that kind of reflects also like the lore of the dungeon and how that combines different aspects of like the Crystal Tower and some earlier raid series and everything. So yeah, I think the fact that the soundtrack itself for the dungeon also reflects that and combines these different pieces of music is really, really cool.
Yeah, definitely. You want to jump into your song?
Let's do it. All right, so In the Belly of the Beast. Okay, so this plays during Mount Golg in Shadowbringers, and Mount Golg is like one of my favorite dungeons in the game. I feel like, and this piece of music is a big part of that. I feel like it's such a hopeful track in an expansion that's like very bleak. So, you know, Shadowbringers obviously deals with a lot of heavy subject matter and everything. You're exploring this world in despair and sort of seeing what people do in response to that, and sort of how people either are resilient or all these things. So you're in a pretty bleak expansion, but this song is such a good shift and such a like, it encapsulates hope and sort of that grand majestic scale. Like this sounds like a cinematic sort of like this could definitely be film OST. Like this is a very good majestic sort of song, especially that opening. So yeah, I think this track feels so quintessentially hopeful and majestic in an expansion that's about that up to this point has been very bleak, and is about showing you sort of the hope in that and being able to find strength in that hope. So yeah, I think I love this track. I love the dungeon as well, and this is a big part of sort of the message of the expansion, I think. So yeah, I love it.
I mean, the whole premise of Shadowbringers, like ever since they announced it, was always really fascinating to me. I like what you were saying about the song, because that was what I get out of this one too. Is like the motivational aspect of it. Really cool. Unfortunately, like the twinning, I've also only done this one a couple times, and I don't know why. But outside of the fact that 2019 was when I moved twice across the country, so the whole year was a really big year for me, and unfortunately, and I didn't always play 14 as much as I wanted to.
You were in the belly of the beast of reality during that
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Oh, very nice. But like I almost wanted to pair this with another song of mine later, because they both do a similar thing where they're like really motivational but uplifting. You know, A Long Fall is motivational as a dungeon theme in a very specific way, and this is a very different way of doing it. And I really like that. Like I like that you can have this thing that motivates you and gives you this sense of like triumph, because it works thematically so well in the game and with the story, because like it's all of this follows up with you working with all the people of Ulamore to actually like reach this point, to be able to get up and do the thing you need to do. So like there's so much build up to even get here. So like it's hard to do this dungeon, even go in here with and feel anything except like excited and motivated to like do your best. So I'm so glad the music like encapsulates that so well.
I'm glad we're talking about tone, because that's the feeling I got from it too. Like, kind of in general, my image of FF14 compared to the other mainline games is that it never gets too dour, like in the music especially. Like, it's never too down on itself. It keeps it tonally light with like the kind of twinkling aspect in this song that you can hear, and like the harp and the bells especially. Like that really kind of keeps it above for me, but. Yeah, it pairs well with the other with Wes's track, because of like this feeling of climbing, you know, and soaring, but you still have this kind of heavy jungle beat below that. Yeah, it is very motivational, but that's the feeling I get from a lot of like Japanese RPGs. Like this reminds me of Monster Hunter in a way. The music, like it's very driving and heavy, but not in a emotionally heavy way, I guess. But yeah, this was a really fun track.
Yeah, I think it's really cleverly made too. First and foremost, because it plays with some riffs on the Kalusia theme, the area, and that place, the music is a lot more comparatively bleak. It's a lot more like, oh god, this place has taken some hits by the light, and this takes that motif and puts it in a much more hopeful light. That like this is still where you are, but things can change. And it also plays really nicely. The strings in there give it this more epic, stirring feeling of things coming to a head. To the point where, like, definitely first listening to this, I'm like, okay, Soken, tell me you liked Final Fantasy Tactics a little bit more here, because it's very much got that kind of stirring, rising, string-heavy kind of a vibe to it. The only thing that threw me off when running this dungeon the first time is that the Mount Gulg theme from Final Fantasy 1 is one of my favorite tracks of all time. And I was like, oh, cool, we're going to get a cool remix. Well, no, not really, but also I kind of get why. Like, for where we're at in the story and the kind of propulsiveness you need to steal that term again, for like a dungeon especially, which is I think what one of the things that ties these two together are being dungeon themes. It definitely fulfills a different kind of need than dungeon themes in some other Final Fantasy games might, just due to the kind of pace of the game. I think it all adds up together to this like absolutely beautiful, like perfectly fitting music that, as much as being good to listen to on its own, is such a good reflection of the story and where it's at right then. Which is why I think like Soken can do these big, elaborate, musically interesting, like rock kind of themes. But it shows that versatility where you can also pull in what's happening in the story and the attitude and the motivation you're supposed to have right there, and not lose any of the inherent catchiness of a lot of the tracks in these games, but still very much you're telling a story with the music, which is, I mean, half the reason I love being on Rhythm Encounter is because listening to these songs that are meant to tell stories, but that are also just satisfying to listen to on their own. I think this is a perfect encapsulation of that kind of thing in FF14.
Yeah, so Soken's style is so different from Uematsu, but even from like Yoko Shimomura, like this and Final Fantasy 16, like it just has this grandness to it. Like you can't imagine it on anything but a giant orchestra, I feel like. And initially it wasn't really my taste, to be honest. Like the more recent Distant Worlds album is like pretty much wall to wall Soken, just about. And like at first I was kind of like put off by that, but he's really grown on me, and like just seeing the huge amount of music he's made for 14 and also 16, like it's hard not to give credit to the guy. Like he's pretty incredibly talented.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And I think it speaks to his versatility, as we're going to hear very soon, I imagine, that all of this does sound like it belongs with an orchestra or with a stage band or something like that. But he's not afraid to introduce some individual instruments that normally wouldn't pop out so well in like a live performance, and put them front and center in songs where like those instruments shouldn't be this loud, this front and center in this kind of music. Which is one of the coolest things, like tricks I think Soken pulls off, and we're going to see more of that, I think, as we continue down this list.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's our cue to continue then. Which actually means, Mario, it's you again. Our next block, we're toning it down a little bit after this first one.
Definitely a tone shift here. My next track is Skybound Emerald by Daiki Ishikawa from Dawntrail. So I'm excited to get into that.
All right. And then my first song today is Sands of Amber. That's another Soken track, and that's from Shadowbringers.
After like the motivation of the first two tracks, we're all like heart pumping, ready to go, you know.
My hand hovering over the Mog Station button right now. Just
Yeah, this is definitely making me want to play. All right, so let's dive in. Skybound Emerald. So this is the nighttime theme for Yaktel in Dawntrail. And yeah, this game has so many good nighttime themes. Oh my god. And that's like a whole, yeah, we could honestly do an episode on that. But yeah, just trying to think of one that really stuck with me, or one that I really enjoyed the melody of. And yeah, I think this is one of the better ones in the game, at least for me, or one of the ones I enjoy a lot. Once that full in piano kicks in, like a minute, or I believe it's like 2 minutes 30 into it. So there's like a slow build up and all that. But once that like full on melody kicks in, it's just so good. Oh god, it is such a vibe. Yeah, I love how this goes into like the Sky Deep Cenote theme too as well. The dungeon in the area, how it reflects that, and it's sort of reminiscent of this area, this region's history, with like what you learn in the MSQ and all that, and the history of like these peoples. And yeah, there's just so much that this song evokes. And yeah, it's just a really powerful track, really vibey. And once that full melody kicks in, yeah, that is, yeah, it's a beautiful song. It's just gorgeous. I can't wait to hear this in a piano concert. That is, yeah, this is going to be a good one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, hopefully it's one of the ones they pick for their next like piano band like combo album.
Yeah. It would be so good. Yeah, it's just, yeah, this is, yeah, it's very easy to vibe to this track. I will hop off my mount and listen to this for a bit.
Yeah, it's the kind of song you put your controller down for. Like I had the same feeling.
Yeah.
That's something I feel in a big way with a lot of the nighttime themes. Like these, I definitely associate experientially in a big way, where like kind of lighter piano heavy, like especially like there. I don't know that there are many night themes that are this like elegantly piano driven, but the idea of that really kind of soothing. The night is not scary. The night is calming. The same way you feel when you go out, in your yard on a summer night, and you just kind of exist out in the world, especially if there's not too much light pollution, and you can see, more of the stars out there. This gives that very real vibe that I deeply associate with like flying over maps in Final Fantasy XIV and just seeing the sights and like being able to just experience from slightly higher up above where any of the danger is. Just being able to kind of experience this world. I feel like nothing really drives it home quite like the night themes, and this one hits like a very specific tone because of it being so piano driven and so like there's a little bit of mystery. You've got that little bit of kind of like foresty mystery, like, oh, what might be out there, but not in a scary way, not in a oh god, what horrors lurk out in the darkness, but in a the night is also a part of this world. Isn't it lovely to live in it? And I adore that feeling because you don't get it in a lot of games that aren't like absolutely meant to be cozy games. It is rare to get that in something like a battle based RPG. Makes me absolutely adore this track.
Yeah, I mean it's really on par for me with stuff like the Ulda night theme and both night themes in Ishgard. Like those are like maybe my favorite like city nighttime themes. I have a lot of good memories from like when I started playing 14 in 2013 of just hanging out in Ulda at night just to hear that song. So this one is really similar to that. Gives me those same kind of vibes. And I almost brought this. I think I told you this, Mario, but I almost brought either this one or the daytime theme because I think the daytime theme in this forest is also really nice. But yeah, I love this. Like this, the area too that this is in, I think is maybe the most beautiful forest area they've done yet in all of 14.
Yeah.
And just especially at nighttime, like it's so serene and mysterious, but not in a bad way. I can't imagine a better way to convey the visuals and the feeling of this forest. Like you have these like shallow pools of water and you have this glowing plant life and like this thick canopy of trees. Like sunlight does not even come into this forest in the daytime. And so like having this like really slow, melodic, rich piano is like just perfect for it. This isn't a shocking thing to say that, of course, I feel like 14 has great music and most of the time, the music fits the use case really well. Or maybe sometimes it even informs like the visuals or the environment. But I think this is one of the better examples of the visuals and the feeling of the area and the song being in like such perfect harmony to like set this great mood.
Yeah, this forest it's in is so gorgeous. It just feels like a very otherworldly of like the blue glow, and yeah, it's so great. Yeah, I think this track just like reflects that beauty really well.
This made me think of a lot of fantasy games that are like kind of traversal heavy, where like things slow down and you're pretty much just walking or running through from point A to B, but like you take the moment to angle your camera up at the night sky and look at the skybox and everything. Like I get the same vibe from like Oblivion, for example, has like a very beautiful sky and like calming night music. So this one made me feel right at home immediately. Kind of got a bit of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 vibes from it too, actually, but I guess they all have a similar kind of openness and like calmness in the night. So yeah, this track like really blew me away. I didn't realize that it was not Soken at first, but yeah, beautiful. And I'm kind of stealing this from some comments I read on YouTube, but people were saying that there are elements of Genova's theme in the piano, like twinkling, especially near the beginning of the track. Yeah, wow. That's what they claim that, and I listened to it. I'm like, I mean, Genova's theme is kind of wild, so it's that's a bit of a stretch. But I mean, I guess there is like this theme of comets in the area too, so perhaps.
I mean, yeah.
I wouldn't be
That
Hmm.
would make
surprised.
sense. Yeah, it's supposed to be like meteors and comets and stuff. So yeah, that would go with it.
Yeah, with how like deep they dig the references, like I wouldn't be surprised. But at least it doesn't make me feel like the end of the world is coming through a meteor crash. But makes me
No.
feel quite the opposite. But yeah, great pick.
Thank you.
Well, if we're in the mood for moody music, let's talk about Sands of Amber. Especially since we have some big Shadowbringers fans here. This is one of my favorite area themes in Shadowbringers. Actually, it's one of my favorite area themes in the whole game. And part of that, I think, is because it just does not come across as like your typical desert theme. Like I could see in a lot of games a song like this being used for like more of an enclosed space, or I don't know, a forest, you know, if they wanted to, or a nighttime specifically, because it's so like mostly calm. So like if I had heard this and didn't know where it was used, I would not have guessed daytime, bright, oppressive heat in the desert. But it works so well because of the very specific nature of the desert being at the edge of where the whole flood of light was stopped. So like sorry, spoilers, but like seeing like the partial like ruins of this city that's like just really like upended and like just stuck and frozen in the sky, well, sort of in the sky, but just like seeing that in the back and have that looming over like the smaller settlements, it all just sinks in. Like we have this like really rich atmospheric theme with these strong bass notes, and there's like I don't know if this is there on its own, like if you don't have the context, like, but I can't not have the context. But for me, like there is kind of a sense of like melancholy, like embedded throughout the music because it's in the area of what went on there. And you know, that's there because of what happened in the past, and has nothing to do, that's even before the like sudden and horrific events that happen to someone that your character knows very early on in this game. That one I won't get into details of, but if you know, then you know. But like, so add those to the events of what happened in the past and just the overall sense of this area, and you know, this desert couldn't have anything but a song like this, that it's like sort of wistful or thoughtful. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful.
For a desert theme, it sounds very wet. You know what I mean? This would go right at home with Geo's shower playlist, I think.
We're bringing that back. Maybe it's on his shower playlist. We'll have to ask him.
Could very well be. But yeah, like the lo-fi beats kind of style, like the hip hop kind of undertone, and then like the vocals are very like I mean, people throw around the word ethereal, but that's like the feeling you get, and it's like Bjork or some kind of like European, you know, like Icelandic singing voice. But yeah, it's definitely not my image of Final Fantasy XIV, and much less so the image of a desert. But I think that's what makes it stand out so much. And there is definitely like that submerged feeling, like typically submerged in water, but like, okay, I could see like the city being submerged in sand too, you know. Yeah, it's very calming, but like in a melancholy, morose kind of way.
Yeah, I get that kind of submerged feeling. For me hits also as kind of like this place kind of frozen in time, like this big cataclysm, this horrific event that was inflicted upon this area and that kind of made it into a desert, leaves this as a place that has been forced to freeze and to stagnate because it came so close to ruin. All it could do was survive, which is, you know, when you think about it, very, very desert-like, even though it's not what we would traditionally associate with like a desert kind of a song. I feel like it's about the vibe of this place and like how this land, you know, continues to persist as best as it can, which I think really fits with those kind of like lo-fi vibes. Things are a lot less driven and a lot more like just kind of existing still, and kind of unyielding, but also not growing. It brings a sense of melancholy to the whole thing, but also a little bit of awe, just because of like the echo, the reverb that they give to a lot of this, is occasionally a little bit more epic in scope than the lo-fi beats of the rest of it. it makes it feel like something huge happened here, but almost like, will anything big ever happen here again? Was that kind of the end of this place as a living, breathing location? And it's another one of those, much like the night themes, where like flying around listening to this is such a vibe. It's such a good feeling. Because then you can get the full scope of exactly what happened here. Because that the landscape here is striking. Like the parts that stick out a lot, especially up against a very brown desert. Yeah, I think it's absolutely a gorgeous choice.
Oh yeah, once you're in the sky, you can really see the scale of it all. Yeah,
frozen in time is a good way to put it. And I appreciate that they didn't go like the easy route. Like like you said, most desert themes we associate with like Middle Eastern instruments, right? But this is a very like modern sound to a desert, right? Which makes it kind of like a lost technology kind of feeling, like this ancient
Which,
civilization.
correct me if I'm wrong, Final Fantasy sometimes likes to play with lost technology, maybe, kind of.
once in a while.
Just every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, this track, or a lot of 14 soundtrack for me, kind of gets me to like revisit where I was, or like where my warrior light was at like this point in the story, like when I'm first experiencing it. And that's kind of what this track does for me. So towards the beginning of Shadowbringers, I went to go see Alice first. There's like a split where you see which twin you go and which area you go to first or whatever. So for me, this was like my like I'm in Shadowbringers kind of moment. So for me, the music kind of felt like the fact that it's so ethereal and like otherworldly kind of reflected sort of like the first as a whole. You know, like we're literally like in another like world or whatever. So the fact that this music felt so otherworldly and like undesert like, I guess, or like what I would think of as a desert, just kind of really reinforced that, like where my character was in the story and all that, and sort of I think it's a great track. And the fact that those vocals feels kind of like haunting and melancholic a bit, given like what happened at that desert and everything. So yeah, this is just one of those tracks that really brings me back to like a particular moment in like my character's journey, and I think it's great for that.
Yeah, I forgot exactly which part of when you were talking, West. You said something, and I keep thinking about it now since you said it, that the implication may be that since it wasn't originally a desert, this was the theme for something else. Like it was composed for something that wasn't supposed to be a desert, but the theme remained even after it became a desert. And that's, I don't know if that's the thought process that went into this song, but if that's what it was, that's really fascinating to me.
You're hearing the ghost of what was kind of thing.
That's such a cool idea.
And that's something awesome that you get through a lot of Shadowbringers. Like the idea of how do you make light feel villainous? Well, one of the primary things light can do is, take all of the water away, burn out, burn too bright, burn out. And this gives that little bit of a sense of something more robust was here and the light burned it all away. And how cool of a concept is that? Like how relatively unique compared to standard light versus darkness. I think that's why there's so much Shadowbringers on here, is like the concept is so good that the music ties into it so nicely.
I think Anakin Skywalker was right. Like, I hate sand.
I hate sand.
Right?
It's coarse and it gets everywhere.
Shout out to all our Tusken Raider listeners. No hate. No hate meant.
All right. So we've had our fill of calm, peaceful music now. Because we're gonna ramp it up a little bit more. So my second song today, fast forwarding from Shadowbringers, is A Trail Unending from Dawntrail. It is one of the final dungeons in Dawntrail. Once again, this one is by Masayoshi Soken. And Wes, what is your second song today?
I'm gonna reel us way back after that to Stormblood, where Soken composed a lovely little ditty called Amatsu Kaze. I think you're all going to like it a lot. Please listen.
All right, so that was A Trail Unending. I really do try, just in general, not just about 14, but like I try not to get too trapped by like recency bias and thinking like the latest thing of whatever it is like, you know, really good, really bad, because it's like the thing that's freshest in my mind. But you know, I did this dungeon sometime last year, so I think I can safely say at this point it is one of my favorite experiences in Dawntrail. It's such a, because Dawntrail is still current, I'm trying not to say too much about it. I mean, at this point, I think everyone at least knows that the dungeon is named Alexandria, because it's kind of hard to avoid that much. But people know that there's a lot of Final Fantasy IX stuff going on here, but it's not the way they do this, the way they introduce Alexandria and its people and everything is very central to Dawntrail. And it's very different from what I was thinking it was going to be, like very different. It is a little bit like we talked about earlier with Mario's pick from Shadowbringers. It's another dungeon theme that's just bursting with like motivation and determination. And it, I guess, in a way that we've become used to it. We've become used to it, but I never want to take it for granted of Soken's ability and his other and the rest of his team. But in this case, it is Soken. His ability and talent of weaving like the main motifs and themes of the expansions and other familiar themes and character themes, like everything comes together in this theme, in this dungeon, including like it even pulls in like the themes from the area right before this. So like it's very consistent with what's going on. And it's been used again recently in the latest patch in a different way. It's just that he does that, just continues to do that. Like what we talked earlier with A Long Fall, all of these different little bits from different Final Fantasies and original stuff, how it all comes together and works in a new way is just amazing. Playing through 14 in general, I'm in a constant state of like, oh, that motif is here, and oh, this character's theme is in this dungeon or in this area thing because this, and it's just brilliant. On its own merits, I think this song really just perfectly captures that grand adventure that Dawntrail was supposed to deliver. You know, it maybe not as lighthearted as we thought it was going to be. It definitely takes some turns by the end, but it's still a grand adventure one way or another. But when you look beyond the song itself and get like the full scope of like what went into it and what leads up to it, it's just so satisfying and effective. I just love it.
That might be one of the most Final Fantasy things about the soundtrack to FF14 is like, if you're someone who likes motifs, who loves character themes from like the especially the Super Nintendo era of Final Fantasy, who loves the idea of like taking these motifs associated with characters, areas, events, whatever, and reusing them in interesting ways in later musical tracks. My lord, does FF14 do that a lot. And this is content I haven't even played yet, but I can feel like there are transitionary portions where you can tell, oh, this is a reference to something, because that's just how Soken works. Like you start to get a sense for those patterns, and it never gets less impressive. I will say, however, absolutely gorgeous song. Definitely feels like that climactic, but in a different way, where it's got a little bit more darkness to it than Mount Gulg did, which is interesting because Mount Gulg is very much like this hope in a hopeless situation. I'm not sure how Dawntrail kind of hashes out at the end. I will find out soon. But it's even got like almost a little bit of Shimura in it. Like, I'm sorry, but propulsive percussion, action-driven melody alongside aggressive piano. That's Kingdom Hearts. I'm sorry. There's some Kingdom Hearts music in the middle of this track. I don't make the rules.
The melody is so Kingdom Hearts, like 1 and 2 sounding. Yeah, 100%. Like it reminded me of like Hollow Bastion.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one who got Hollow Bastion out of this.
I can hear it.
Honestly, I see it.
It's
now.
not like a direct
Now
copy or anything.
No,
but you get the vibes.
And I like any kind of like that trope in like where the final dungeon or the final battle, like it doesn't feel dire. There's like a sense of direness to it, like do or die, but like it already feels triumphant. I love that, like as motivation, you know, like starting a new dungeon, starting the final dungeon, and it's like I've leveled up, like I can do this, like I'm going to save the world. I think that's such an amazing feeling that this totally evokes like Final Fantasy 14 for me. Like this kind of sums up the entire vibe of the game slash, I guess you can call it a series at this point. Yeah, I love this track as like summation of all of that.
It's like how in FF14 so much of it is like half the battle is having the will and the preparation to show up to the fight. Like
yeah.
Fights are important. Struggles are important, but the biggest struggle is the one that gets you onto the field.
And those horns kicking in like in the middle, like oh my god.
It's a very full track. Like it is robust, I guess. And I kind of love that. I love that in a climactic track.
Yeah.
Even for what this track gives me too is also seeing sort of where Dawntrail fits overall and just like the Warrior Flight's journey and everything. That even after like sort of, Endwalker's a very climactic sort of finale of that story arc, that there's still more like adventure to be had. Like I kind of feel like this really kind of just encapsulates that theme really well of like there's still things to fight and all that, but there's still adventures to be had, and like a grand adventure is sort of what this song sort of like encapsulates, like even if it's a battle and like things, without going too much into it or whatever, but it's still got that sense of adventure to it, that there's still more to be discovered, more to be had. I think it reflects the expansion's theme really well.
Absolutely. All right, Wes, you go with transitions. Transition us from that into your song.
So I feel like the biggest bangers in Final Fantasy XIV come in one of two flavors. Either a really epic dungeon theme or a trial theme that absolutely whips ass. Like a complete like power rock anthem kind of thing. So that's kind of where my decision-making process came in when picking tracks for this episode. I knew that there was like one dungeon track that was going to stand up so high people would notice if we didn't include it. So Long Fall needed to come along. But then there's a lot more flexibility when you talk about tracks for various trials, because there are so many good ones and they all fit so differently. You can go from like big, brassy, intense, like Battle at the Big Bridge style energy to like something really heavy like Titan's theme. But I wanted to bring something that I didn't think we'd have a similar energy on, which is Stormblood absolutely loves very like strongly Japanese themes, which aren't like super common within the rest of FF14. It's more of like a global sound, an epic fantasy sound. And not only does this one lean heavily on a lot of very Japanese feelings, especially like actual Japanese lyrics, surprisingly uncommon in FF14, but that instrumentation mixed in with the kind of heavy rock feel that goes along with most trials in FF14, the ones that feel like, oh god, I gotta stay in this fight, I gotta stay active, because they are like frantic experiences. So it's really good to have music that kind of keeps you on your toes like that. Starting out, like, I mean, you start out with a really interesting bass line. I'm going to fall in love with your song regardless of what comes after. So I'm already in a good place there. But then we lean into, even stronger into the rock, the rising, bum, 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 bum. You hear that there are several very popular rock songs that hit that kind of vibe. But here it's used to build not to like a really strong, hardcore guitar drop, but to kind of the really Japanese portion. Like you're fighting Byakko, this mystical Eastern beast. It builds you into like, we're not going to let up on the guitar, on the bass, on the drums, anything, but we're still going to do this very like traditional Japanese vocalizing lyrics to go along with it. These long drawn out notes that are typical of traditional Japanese music, and fusing that with kind of some 90s rock instrumentation and melody. I think that's absolutely gorgeous. It's such a unique vibe. There are other like very Japanese sounding trials, but I think this one hits that weird fusion of classic Japanese and modern Japanese rock that I'm a big fan of. This is exactly my kind of vibe. There might be other trials that have songs I love more, I've listened to more, but this one hits something that I feel is pretty unique within the game, and I thought that was worth listening to.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought up the style of music too, because I don't know how I didn't have that on my notes, but I think that's a really important part of Stormblood. And they do it again a little bit with Dawntrail, and just the fact that, the world of 14 roughly, more or less, sort of mirrors the real world, right? So you have like the far eastern continent of Doma and all that is like generally Japan. And in Dawntrail, we're visiting, the second half of Dawntrail, you're visiting sort of, as people like calling it, Texas. There is like this North America West, and they show that like in the game, like the accents are different and everything else. And I think that was a really important part of Stormblood. Like they didn't just be like, hey, we're gonna make the stuff in the Far East look, resemble some parts of the Eastern world in reality, but like that came down and included the music too. So I'm really glad they did that. It makes, once again, like everything is thematically consistent. And then as for like this trial, this whole series, like it is one of my favorite things in 14. Ever since I guess ever since Heavensward. Heavensward, you had some trials, but like they've always been, they do these things in like series. Like you have the Warring Triad in Heavensward, and then in Stormblood you have these 4 lords, and I love just how things come together, and the little hub area where you can talk to these guys before and after. The whole quest line is really fascinating. All 4 of them actually really have great music, but I'm glad you brought this one, because I feel like sometimes Stormblood gets overlooked a little bit, given the 2 expansions that came after it. So it's good to go back and remember. It's like, oh no, there was a lot of great stuff there too.
It follows my axiom of bad Final Fantasy is still pretty good, bad FF14 is still pretty good.
Exactly.
That's a good rule of thumb. So based on what you said, Mike, like, are you fighting in this expansion like the 4 like Chinese and Japanese mythological beasts, like the tiger, the phoenix, the dragon, the turtle? The 4
exactly
directions?
those. Yeah,
that is so cool. Okay, yeah, Byakko is like the west, right? So if you go to many castles in Japan today, like even Osaka Castle, I believe, like they often have like Byakko built into the western walls and onto like the rooftops and things like that facing the west. I thought that was pretty cool. And my wife actually pointed out to me, because I was sharing this music with her, when she heard the title Amatsu Kaze, she said, oh, that's like an expression that like most Japanese kids would recognize, because in school they study this book, or this, I guess, collection called like the Hyakunin Ishu, which is like the 100 people's, anthology of poems. Basically, they have 100 poets with each contributing 1 poem in traditional Japanese literature. And so kids kind of like remember these series of poems just like we would remember, like, I don't know, Shakespearean sonnets or something like that. And it's actually it plays a key role in this popular card game called Uta Garuta, where you basically read the beginning of a poem, and your opponent has to like finish the poem through memory, and they have to find it on like this whole array of cards before you, and kind of sweep it away before, it's like a race against time kind of thing. But yeah, a popular card game that lots of kids play.
There are a couple of anime that some of the fans listening might recognize this from too.
yeah, exactly. Anime and movies, like it's a huge thing. And yeah, the title itself meaning like imperial or like heavenly wind. Which is funny, because when I played the song for my wife, she goes, huh? Like she wasn't expecting that sound at all. Like the funkiness and the bass and everything, the grooviness of it. But I think it's, like you said, Wes, it's like a hugely fun mixture of like traditional and modern kind of East, or I guess traditional East and like modern influences. Really fun.
Yeah, this one's definitely a banger. I'm like programmed to think of it for I was doing it when it was an Unreal like a few patches ago. So I have this song like kind of ingrained in me from having to do that like weekly or however long I did it. But it's a banger. I feel like it really reflects sort of how chaotic this particular trial, and like trials in general, could be in 14. So yeah, I think it captures that really well. Yeah, it's a banger. I love this trial series. I think this is sort of where, at least for me or whatever, this is kind of where the combat in the game really gets its shine, I think, and like the mechanics and like the actual encounter like design and all that. So yeah, this is a great one.
No, that's a good point. You mentioned it feeling more chaotic, and I think that is about the time when they started doing that with some of the fights. Because I remember doing this one, and there is some mechanics like when you get like thrown up into the air and stuff, where I was like, well, okay, I wasn't ready for this one.
They swirl through the tornado and all that.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, they continue to do that, which is it's like every so often there's another fight. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't think about that being a thing we're doing now. So that's gotta be so hard after this much time to still come up with like completely like unique or new ways to experience things when there's so much in the game now.
Yeah, that's why I'm like so impressed by Dawntrail's combat, because it's just they really come up with really unique situations and unique stuff going on in battles now, and I'm like, damn, y'all still are coming up with stuff at level 100. That's crazy.
Right. I've been playing a bunch recently, and I keep getting what is now the second newest trial, which I won't explain what it is, in trial roulette, like over and over again. And I love it. It's really cool. And a lot of interesting things going on in there. Thankfully, I've gotten better at it, because the first time in there, I did so poorly.
Yeah, that's me. I think I've only done it once so far, but I get wrecked a lot my first time on these trials now.
Yeah.
Well, how many games let you get stomped on by a giant tiger man? I mean, that's pretty unique, right?
Not enough.
Not enough, yeah. I hope this sets the precedent for future like Tiger Man games. Yeah.
Maybe it will. Matt, I owe you an apology. I probably should have
at the end.
Well, I owed you an apology at the top of the show for putting you at the end. I actually owe you a second one for not bringing it up until we got to the block. But your two songs go together so well. They were the best pairing for one another. So yeah, that's why they're here. But on the plus side, like, you get a whole block that's yours.
All right, everybody, mute your mic. It's Matt's turn.
Okay, goodbye.
Shut up. Hello, listeners. Welcome to the Matt Hour. So yeah, it makes sense that you put mine two together, because as people may have picked up, I don't know, I like town themes, and I like relaxing and chill themes, which there was plenty of that in this episode too. But so my two themes that I'm bringing now are, let's see, first, The Day Will Come, the Endwalker version of that, originally composed by Nobuo Uematsu, and then this arrangement is by Takafumi Imamura. And then the next track after that will be Coffee Break by Masayoshi Soken from Dawntrail. So enjoy and relax. Welcome back, listeners. I hope you're feeling nice and at ease. So let's begin by talking about The Day Will Come. Pop quiz, hot shots. What Final Fantasy game is this originally from?
I'm so glad I learned this 2 days ago, but it's Final Fantasy V.
Woohoo! Ding, 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 ding. So yeah, there is a whole theme called The Day Will Come, which is quite like sad, and it's in like probably the most emotional point of Final Fantasy V. But snippets of it also appear in the main theme of Final Fantasy V. I think that might be where it's most recognizable to many people. I mean, I don't have that much to say about this track. I just it immediately jumped out to me, I think, for its familiarity to me, and just like to me represents like a perfect blend of like, you know, the old Final Fantasy and the new Final Fantasy. I love the way that it's the recycled melody, but it introduces all of these kind of I'm gonna throw out the word here. Maybe it's not. Maybe let me change my wording here. It throws in a lot of exotic percussion, you know, that I really enjoy and really adds to the atmosphere. To quote my wife, it feels watery and then it feels starry, you know.
I like that.
Yeah, right. But what do you guys think about this track? And maybe you can give some context on how it's used in 14.
Yeah, well, I definitely can't give the context of Final Fantasy V, because again, I only recently learned that 5 being one of the only a few of the Final Fantasies I have not played yet. I'm forcing myself to play the Pixel remasters in order, which means I'm on Final Fantasy 2 right now. So I've been I know 3 and 5 are coming up, so like I'm trying to use that to motivate myself. Anyway, yeah, so even if I was unaware of the origins of this song, to give Hillary some credit, even though she's not here, she was like, "Oh yeah, of course that's from 5," and I'm like, "Okay," because she knows 5 and I don't. But even if I was blissfully unaware of that origin, I've always liked this rendition of it. You know, we've talked about Endwalker a little bit here about how, you know, it was like the culmination of 10 years worth of narrative, and like the stakes have never been higher in the game. So of course Endwalker has a whole lot of like dramatic, high energy, and really serious or sad music. But you know, you can't have just that. You know, as high as the stakes are, if that was the tone of the entire expansion, it wouldn't work. You still need, just like in life, like you need the highs and the lows. So you know, there is downtime, and there is like softer sides of the apocalypse, as it may be. And this is one of the best examples of it, and it's so needed in what's going on in Endwalker, when you have these moments between things, when your characters actually can sit down and just take a breath. So I'm so glad we have just beautiful themes like this one.
I think the context from FF5 makes it even more interesting as to how they've used it here too, because the theme, "The Day Will Come," the name is kind of tied to how it's used in FF5. So this is very much like, you know, music space was limited back on the Super Nintendo, so themes were repeated for a lot of different instances. But maybe the overarching theme of this is the idea of wanting peace, wanting an easier, simpler, better life for everyone, whether it's, you know, longing for a lost loved one, or even just wanting, you know, a family that you've lost kind of this normalcy with. It's constantly used during very high emotion moments, but arguably one of the things that it's most used for is, you know, wanting a better life, wanting one that's not so tumultuous and one that's so painful. And there are a lot of reasons why it kind of makes sense to use in this context. One, the Baldesian Annex definitely has some big Final Fantasy V vibes, especially with how much you deal with Kryl in there, you know, who's named after one of the main characters from Final Fantasy V. It's very much got that tone, that aesthetic, which FF14 loves to do. It loves to take old themes, old names, remix them into something new, but still kind of reference the past, which is exactly what it's doing with this theme. This is a much, you know, happier, peppier version. It's a little bit less like, I don't want to say wallowing in it, but less like things are dark, let's hope for better, and more like we are working to make things better. The Baldesian Annex is kind of like an optimistic location. It's where you're trying to build something better for the future. So they're using that same music, but from this standpoint of we can and we will and we are versus we hope and let's try, which is just this subtle difference, but it works really well because you're still using those motifs in very similar ways and you're still referencing the original. FF14 is all about reverence for the rest of the series, but trying not to rest on it just being pure reverence on we can tell a story with the pieces that people are used to from decades of this. So I think this is an absolutely, like, it's one of those things where the more you look into it, the more you look at it, the more kind of genius reusing this theme for this particular portion of the game is really smart, and it's really clever. And when you're able to dig in and kind of see some of that cleverness, it makes you feel really good about, like, I've loved this series and it's paying off because I'm kind of seeing what they're doing here.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. Well, thanks for explaining that. That really adds so much more context. And I love the way you contrasted the use cases in each one, too. I think that's a great way of describing it.
It's so good that you can do that and still just have it be like, this is a good theme for this location, too. Like, this feels right. This is a home as well. Yeah. And this feels like a homey theme. Like, it's amazing to be able to use it that many ways.
Yeah, without getting the reference, yeah, like the soundtrack on itself is so amazing.
Yeah, I also didn't know until relatively recently that this was an FF5 reference or callback and all that, so it just works on its own as well.
Yeah, that's something FF14 is 9 times out of 10 really smart about. Like, you don't have to have played the original, but if you did, you'll get a little bit extra out of here. Much like the FF Tactics raids, like,
oh boy,
they really fed it into the rest of the narrative.
Oh, those are so good.
They use like the straight up FF4 battle theme, right? In Endwalker, I think.
Yeah, they sure do.
There is a lot of good FF4 references and arrangements in Endwalker, yes.
Well, I guess transitioning into our final main track here, Coffee Break. This one, like, just, it's so jazzy, so relaxing. Even if you divorce it from Final Fantasy XIV, I think you could play this anywhere and people would be like vibing to it. The shuffling drums and, you know, the kind of the piano loop that plays through it, like leading into the solos. I believe, like, you know, it's a relatively new theme from Dawntrail, so I don't know the context at all, but I get the feeling that it's actually a nighttime theme. So, you know, who doesn't love a good cup of coffee at night? You know what I mean? Get the heart racing before you hit the town, you know? This is exactly the kind of track that, like, I would love to, like, if I'm out in the wild and the sun is setting, it's like, oh, I'm going to return to town so I can, you know, hear this track and do my shopping and do all that stuff that I have to do. Very much in the vein of, like, Traverse Town from Kingdom Hearts 1. Like, that same kind of, you know, I just want to inhabit this town and enjoy the nightlife in a relaxed state, you know. But I don't know if you guys have any more context for the song, or, like, yeah, what do you think about Coffee Break?
It's like, it's an MSQ theme, so I know it plays during, like, more like downtime sort of moments in the main story. And yeah, I do definitely see this sort of nighttime vibe to it, though. It very much gives that.
I just gotta say, like, aging drummer perspective, you put brushes on a snare drum and I get kind of happy. Like, it just evokes, like, this primal part of my brain. And it absolutely speaks to, like, jazzy cafe kind of vibe, which I know this isn't exclusively used in, you know, a cafe setting, but it very much has that, like, it's time to calm down, it's time to relax, let's find peace in things as they are right now. That is so influenced by, like, very light jazz, very, like, we're not going to go harsh on the percussive, we're going to use our brushes, we're going to kind of tinkle the keys instead of really slamming down on the piano. It's such a good, like, vibe song, in a way that I really love, and in a way that is just interesting enough so that, like, you know, a lot of games, the songs you get from, like, a main story quest kind of a theme, one that's going to be played repeatedly, can get kind of repetitive, and I know that this probably does over time as well, but there is that little bit of uniqueness to it. The fact that it's got that jazzy little element to it, it speaks both to kind of the value of going outside of just using the same kind of music for every location, and to giving an identity to different expansions in FF14 specifically, where that little bit of jazziness helps there feel like there's an identity here, which FF14 is very good about their different expansions, different locales having a strong sense of place and identity.
and even with like the strings and the woodwind solos, like there is a lot of movement. Like it never feels busy, but like there is a lot of movement, and you know, the solos feel kind of low stakes, but in like a relaxing way. So I feel like I would never get tired of this track. Yeah.
No, I think it's important to note that, like, yeah, it does feel like it belongs in Dawntrail, but it also is used in similar ways to your other track. You know, even if the stakes are mostly less high in Dawntrail, you still need that downtime. You know, in this case, your characters need a moment to like stop and take a breath and have some coffee, or if we're specifically in Dawntrail, sit down and have some tacos. So like I don't want to repeat myself too much, but like I think that balance is really important, that you have the highs and the lows, and you need to have songs like this that just like really help you like de-stress. Of all of the many themes they've done that, you know, fulfill that role, I guess, for each expansion, this is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just guilty of it in general, where a lot of times like I end up talking more about the emotion or how I feel about a song more than the song. That's okay, because you guys talked about the song. I really want to, like, to me it really matters, like the context and like how it's used and what it's there for, and like that matters so much to me in terms of like enjoying the story and the characters. So I'm glad you brought it, Matt, because like this one really does resonate with me.
For a game that you play for like, or you can play for like thousands of hours, yeah, you can't just like white knuckle it all the way through. Like I think, yeah, like you said, you need the highs, you need the lows to experience the highs. So yeah, I'm glad that this game, these soundtracks have such a wide variety of like enjoyable music, and they do it all so well.
Oh shoot, that reminds me. Yeah, I haven't checked my playtime in a long time. I'm afraid to do that.
Yeah, I think this track does play at the taco restaurant actually, in Tuliolo.
Oh.
So I think it really goes for that. And like Tuliolo, also like the city's theme in general is also very jazzy. So I kind of like how this track also reflects that.
Have you guys ever had tacos and coffee before? I've never.
No.
If someone had told me there were tacos in Dawntrail, I probably would have gotten on this months ago.
Oh geez.
Tacos will bring me to anything.
I mean, they're there. Yeah, go for it. Well, you already did, but you're going to go for it. Okay, well, there's our episode. Our first Final Fantasy XIV episode in 4 years. I think the last one was in 2021, but we have a lot of catching up to do, and I'm glad that you're all here to do that with me.
Yeah, glad to be here, even as a relative newbie.
This will always make me happy. FF14 is a happy place.
Mm-hmm.
That's a forever sprout.
You're not a sprout.
In our hearts, you
sprout
are.
at heart.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say this on 2 podcasts in a row, because like we recorded the newest random encounter last night, and of course I mentioned that this was the song coming up, or the episode coming up on Rhythm Encounter, and I made an offhanded comment, I'm not sure if Jono kept it in the edit, about how, like, you know, there's so much music in this game, and I never get tired of talking about it, that sometimes I want to just do a spin-off of just a separate Final Fantasy XIV music podcast, because we could just keep that going for a very long time. They would release new music before we ever ran out of music to talk about. I mean, I'm looking at my music library now, and there's 1 or 2 albums, like arrangement or orchestra albums of 14 I don't have still, but I still have 1,055 songs just from 14. That's 3.2 days worth of music before anything would repeat.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, if I had the time to do it, I would so do that, and I would invite all of you on whenever you wanted, because I never tire of talking about this game's music, and there's so much out there.
I think we need to pick it for Square Enix to like release Soken from whatever dungeon you have him locked up in, like just making music endlessly for 10 years. Like, let my man free.
Oh my god.
I will say, like, if you are a fan, and obviously you wouldn't still be listening if you weren't, and you do pick up some of the soundtracks, like the soundtracks, read the liner notes, and especially in the more recent ones, in the Blu-ray they have like on-screen commentary, and I think like 1 or 2 albums they did not translate that. It was just Japanese, but the newer ones they have been localizing those, and like seeing his comments or any of the composer's comments about each specific song, really fascinating. I mean, sometimes there's some really good insight, and sometimes there's like Soken being like, I don't really remember what happened here. I think I just composed this over a weekend, and I guess it turned out okay, right? So much fun to read those. So, do our closing housekeeping stuff. Matt is going to be surprising us with a bonus track at the end here. But before we get to that, games that made their debut in this episode, none. We might not believe this, but all of these 14 expansions have been on the show before. But coming up next on Rhythm Encounter, in 2 weeks, we are doing a Composer Spotlight. It's been a little while since we did one. And we're doing that on Naoshi Mizuta. You might know him from Final Fantasy XI especially, but also some other Final Fantasies and some other games. So look forward to that. And then after that, we are doing our 3rd quarter new music episode of Rhythm Encounter. And unless plans change, you are still doing that one with me, right, Matt?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Yeah. So like we've been doing all year, we're going to highlight music from the last quarter. If you enjoyed this episode, if you want to send us some feedback, you can reach the podcast and me at music@rpgfan.com. And what is the best way for people to reach you, Matt?
Yeah, just read all the stuff I'm working on at rpgfan.com. We're keeping busy over there, and some great content in the past few months. A lot of music there too, music reviews and such. And if you want to read my personal writing, I'm at mattwardellwrites.wordpress.com if you like short stories. Thank you.
One of these days, just to save you some syllables, we should just get you a domain name.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm such a cheapo. I'm like, I'm okay saying it every time.
Okay, well, that's fine. That's up to you then.
And now it rolls off the tongue.
How about you, Wes?
I'm a bit of a ghost lately, but if you want to see me on the few times when I am active and as it grows a little bit more, you can find me on Blue Sky at Lone Weasel. You can also check out my author page at RPG Fan if you so choose. I guess that could be said about all of us. Not all of us have as much lined up there in the past year as certain folks do, but
yeah, Matt.
Yeah. God, making us all look bad. How dare you?
What?
Someone had to catch some shade. I've been very nice.
I don't wear many hats.
Get some shade about doing good work. Yeah.
Unbelievable. How dare you do good work?
Boy.
Next time I proofread, you guys, watch out. I'm going to be extra harsh about those commas.
Good. How about you, Matt? Matt, how about you, Mario?
Well, you can find me at
oh god. You can find me at RPG Fan Socials. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky. That's RPG Fancom.
All right. So, as you know by now, if you enjoyed Rhythm Encounter, we are, of course, not the only podcast on the RPG Fan Podcast Network. We also have Retro Encounter and Random Encounter. Recently, Retro Encounter just finished up a 2-part episode on Drakengard. Go check that out. And then over on Random Encounter, the one I mentioned I just recorded yesterday, we did a book club episode. It's been a while. Jono and Hillary love doing those and were kind enough to invite me on as well. We talked about Bitmap Books' newest release, 50 indie games that changed the world. As always with Bitmap, a beautiful book, so much in there, 450, 60 pages or something of content to talk about. So we went over some highlights and really, really fascinating. So if you want to hear what we thought about the book, go check out Random Encounter. And as Mario said, you can find RPG Fan on most social media. You'll find a link to all of those in our show notes. We also have a YouTube channel, a Discord. Our website is rpgfan.com. On there, amongst our news and reviews and podcasts and all our other content you can find, we have the shop at rpgfan.com/shop, where you can order a copy of our beautiful review card collection book. And we can also get RPG Fan merch, along joining our favorites such as our mugs and baby onesies and t-shirts and hats. Most recently, we now have shorts. So if you want a pair of shorts going into the fall season, maybe we should have introduced those 4 months ago. But if you want some shorts, because I will wear shorts all year round if I can get away with it, with RPG Fan on them, go check that out. So that's rpgfan.com/shop. Finally, if you enjoyed this episode and want to help get the word out and get more people to find it, we would love any kind of support you can give us. So if you can drop a like, a comment, a subscription, whatever it is that you can do wherever it is you get your podcasts, we would appreciate it. Even if that's just sharing a link with your friends or sharing on a Discord, whatever it is, we love having more people find the show. And that's it. I am tired of talking. So Matt, I'm going to turn it over to you. And what is this surprise bonus track we're going to close out with?
Well, actually, you, Mike, referenced this song in all but name earlier, so I'm kind of glad that you are a fan already. I'm taking it back to version 1.0 with Mr. Nobuo Uematsu, Twilight over Thanalan, the night theme in the region surrounding Ul'dah. Wes, would you like a transition into Long Fall? Like maybe one of us can make a falling sound, like ah.
Perfect.